Have you ever felt like you are slowly dying, but you cannot explain why? Like something deep inside you is unraveling, but from the outside everything looks the same. You smile, you function, you pretend, but inside something is changing. Your thoughts start to break the mold. Your emotions no longer follow logic. Things you used to care about suddenly feel empty, and the people around you seem distant, as if they belong to a world you no longer recognize. Even a moment when you feel as if you don't belong to this world. The moment you feel like that something deeper is happening. It's not a collapse, it's a breakthrough. This is the dark, raw, unfiltered side of awakening, and nobody warns you. The side where nothing makes sense, where your inner world turns against everything you thought was stable, and your mind starts to unravel the structures it was once attached to. You are not losing your mind. You are losing the version of yourself that was created only to survive, not to awaken. Because true awakening does not begin with light. It starts with disintegration. This is the dark side of awakening. Not the darkness in evil, but the darkness in the unknown. It is the gap between who you are and who you will become. A space where the old maps no longer work, and the new ones have not yet formed. But the truth that most people never hear is this space mice, this in-between, is sacred, because you have to go through your own shadows before you can become light. Stay tuned. I'm about to tell you some golden information that will show you how you can awaken to your own reality, and maybe you already have. Believe it or not, those who stay with us until the end will awaken to their higher reality at the end of this video. Before we go into this, I want you to do 3 things. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave the number 777 in the comments. You can also share it with someone you want to benefit from this video and support their spiritual awakening. Now let's go deeper. Have you ever wanted to cry for no reason, an emptiness for no reason, as if your soul is mourning something but your mind doesn't know what is lost? At night you lie in bed but you can't sleep. You are tired but you can't get into a deep rest, because inside you somewhere unseen, a reorganization has started. Your old version is dissolving, and this dissolution is silent. Nobody notices it. Nobody says to you, you are transforming, because this transformation happens from within, not from outside. Your dreams change. Your memories lose their meaning. Some things start to feel like they never happened. The calibration of your mind and heart changes. It is as if an invisible energy begins to pull you towards a much higher but unknown frequency. This is the beginning of quantum awakening. Quantum is not just a physics term for subatomic particles. Quantum is a key that shows that the nature of reality is fragmented, simultaneous, and open to infinite possibilities. And you mice, yes, you who are reading these lines right now, are on the threshold of those infinite possibilities. But first, you need to disintegrate, because you cannot step into the new reality with your old self. This is the dark side of awakening. This darkness is not the womb of hell. It is the womb of rebirth. This emptiness is not here to swallow you but to reshape you. But these moments can be very challenging, because when consciousness breaks out of its old patterns, it cannot hold on to anything for a while. Everything you believe in is questioned. The roles that define you become meaningless, and your deepest fears begin to surface. You can no longer hide, because quantum awakening asks you to face yourself. In this process, your mind can play tricks on you. Am I going crazy? You may ask. But the truth is that you are really waking up for the first time. This world is much more flexible, much more conscious, much more alive than you think. But until now you have only been shown a limited reality. And now, the veil is lifting. Many people go back at this point. They try to stay in their old comfort zone, in the familiar chaos, in false security. But you are different, because if you are here, if something in the title of this video has called you, this void is the door through which you have to pass, and only the brave can pass through this door. Quantum awakening is an existential rewrite, not a mental one. It is the collapse of the old you, the encoding of the new you, the structure of your thoughts, the vibration of your emotions, the energy of your body, all change. And when everything starts to make no sense, you are actually getting closer to the true meaning of everything. Even time flows differently in this process. The clocks slow down or speed up, because in quantum awareness time is circular, not linear. Past, present, and future come together. Memories are not made of the past but of frequencies. And now you start to remember who you are, why you are here, and what you forgot. Even your tears become something else, a ritual of remembering. Every drop cleanses you of your old self. Every moment of solitude becomes a meeting place with your higher self. Because quantum awakening is not just a transformation, it is a merging. Your mind, heart, and soul finally begin to align. But here's the secret. This alignment seems chaotic at first. It is like an internal earthquake. All structures are shaken. Everything you believe in, the identity you've built, the relationships you're attached to, everything is re-evaluated. Because now you start working in resonance. It's not what makes sense anymore, it's what vibrates right. And at this point, you can no longer speak the same language with everyone. People seem to walk in the same reality as you, but your energy doesn't match. A loneliness begins that you cannot express in words. But this loneliness is not a curse. This loneliness is a side effect of ascending to new frequencies. And those who pass this stage are born into a completely new level of reality. This is the quantum leap. But this leap doesn't happen suddenly. First you need a deep fall, because the universe first empties you, then fills you. And this emptying, don't fight it. Because without shedding all the identities, roles, masks that make you who you are, your true light cannot be seen. And now I ask you, are you ready to go through this emptiness? If you are ready, write "I am ready" below, and send a strong signal to your everlasting self. Now we are going deeper, because awakening is not only a destruction but also the birth of a new self. But first, death is necessary. Yes, it is a kind of death. Not physical identity death, a shift in consciousness where the old you slowly dissolves and is left behind. The roles, labels, masks fall away one by one. In this process people don't understand you. You have changed so much, they say. They are right, because you are no longer the old you. But what they see is not a change. It feels like a threat, because as you change, they have to change too. And most people are not ready for that. That's why loneliness is an integral part of this journey. But this loneliness is not meant to weaken you, but to strengthen you. Because when you are alone, you finally start to hear your own voice. This is the most critical moment of quantum awakening. The first time you come into clear contact with your inner voice. This voice has been whispering to you since you were a child. But the noise of the system, the expectations of society, the conditioning of your family, all of these things drowned it out. Now that voice is rising, and for the first time, you start taking direction from your inner compass, not from the outside world. This is the first step into the new reality. Your mind may still resist at this stage. Old programming is not easily erased. Thoughts like, what if I'm on the wrong path? What if this is just a dream? May arise. But this is where quantum awareness comes in. Because in the quantum field, there is no right or wrong. There is only resonance. What feels light to you? What expands you? What fills you with peace? That is right for you. And this realization is a real power. Because when your outer world is aligned with your inner world, you start bending reality. Coincidences increase. Timing becomes perfect. Things that were just thoughts quickly become reality. The universe starts sending you mirrors. Strangers looking into your eyes suddenly remind you of your soul. A song you listen to opens moles and then heals a wound you closed in the past. But beware, at this stage, your ego may want to re-engage. It may say, I am awake now, I know everything. But this is a trap. Because true awakening never comes with a feeling of superiority. Quite the opposite. It brings a humility that brings you to your knees. You are not the center of the universe, but you are one with it. This wisdom gives you a deep peace, not arrogance. This is the heart of quantum transformation. Here concepts like time, space, identity begin to dissolve. You realize that you are no longer consciousness trapped in a body, but an experiencing soul. You realize that emotions are energy frequencies, not just transient waves. And most importantly, you realize that even pain is sacred, because every pain serves you. Every tear opens your heart more. Every rejection brings you back inside yourself. Every moment of solitude allows you to connect more deeply to the source within. At this point, external achievements, status, social approval no longer matter, because you have found your own inner light. And once you see that light, you cannot forget it. This is where quantum awakening becomes a reality. The moment you get in touch with your inner light and start living in that light. But this new life requires patience, because the old world may still look the same. People may still be playing their old games, but you are now in the audience seat. You are now watching everything from a different place. Without getting drawn into the drama, without getting involved, you are just observing. This level of consciousness protects you, it guides you, and it elevates you. Still, you may fall from time to time, and in those moments you have to have compassion for yourself, because this is a marathon, not a sprint. It is a journey, a transition that your soul has planned thousands of years in advance. Every step, every turn, every fall is meaningful, and everything is as it should be. Now take a deep breath, and say to yourself, I am becoming free from my old self. I am no longer driven by limited thoughts, but by infinite consciousness. I am here to live fully, not just to survive. These words are not magic, but their frequency is high, and every time you say them, the true power within you awakens. You may not be quite there yet, but you are getting closer, and even this coming closer is a miracle. At some point you realize, just being awakened is not enough, because now you are looking with a different consciousness, but the world still looks the same. At that moment, a rebellion rises from within. I have changed. Why doesn't my external world change? And right there you move to the next layer of spiritual awakening, creation. In quantum reality, everything is energy. Thoughts are energy, intention is energy, feelings are energy, and you are no longer a being that just feels this energy, but directs it. You are now going beyond the observer, you are becoming the creator. But there is a fine line here. Quantum creation happens with harmony, not with the mind. When you align with the intention of your soul, not the desires of the mind, the energy begins to flow. When you let go of external desires and find inner harmony, reality bends with you. The universe begins to resonate with you, not hear you. So whatever you feel, happens. Whatever you are vibrating, it appears. So if you are still vibrating fear, insecurity, inadequacy, the outside world reflects that to you. But when you raise your frequency, when you move to vibrations of love, acceptance, abundance, peace, the tone of the universe changes, because you are now a magnet. Whatever you define yourself by, you attract. Wherever you focus your consciousness, it expands. This is not physics, it is quantum. And at this point, you face the most important question: who am I? This question seems easy on the surface, but when you go deeper, you realize that it is the root of everything, because how you define who you are shapes all your energy. If you define yourself by your past wounds, you are constantly recreating pain. But if you define yourself as a being of consciousness, as a creator, then the miracles begin. But this definition is not just a mental belief, it has to be a way of life. So quantum awakening is not just a state of awareness, it is a practice. It starts every morning by asking, who am I? It continues by realizing in every experience, with what consciousness am I responding to this? And in every choice, it deepens by being able to ask, am I aligning with the old or the new self? This realization starts with small changes. You start not doing things you don't feel like doing anymore. You slowly withdraw from environments that are not good for you. You start listening to your body, mind and heart. And most importantly, you become honest with yourself, because now you know your energy is your responsibility, and you resonate with whatever you allow. In this process, things break away from you. People leave. Things change. Some parts of your life unravel, but it is not a loss. It is a weeding out. The universe cleanses you of energies that are no longer compatible with you. This can be painful, because your mind wants to hold on to the past, but your heart knows it is not a void. It is a preparation. Space is opening up for the new to come in, and this is where the first rule of quantum creation comes into play. Emptiness is not something to be feared, but a sacred waiting. When you are in the void, your mind panics, but your soul is patient, because your soul knows emptiness is the birth pang of the new reality. If you resist this emptiness, you recreate the old, but if you surrender, a whole new reality emerges. And this new reality is a reflection of your vibration. Things that limited you before are no longer visible. Time expands. What you have to decide becomes clear. Life begins to flow in cooperation with you. But it's not a life of happily ever after. It's a life where everything makes sense. Even pain becomes meaningful. Even tears become healing. Because now you know that everything is energy. And energy can be transformed. Every fear can be transformed into love. Every anger into a limit. Every uncertainty into a space of creation. You now have the capacity to do this. Because you have not only awakened spiritually, you have also become creative in the quantum field. But remember, with this power comes a responsibility. Because you can no longer be a victim. You can no longer take refuge in the victim mind. You can no longer say, "Why does this always happen to me?" Because you know you called it. Maybe unconsciously, maybe through automatic programs. But now you are conscious. Now you are aware. Now you can choose. And that is freedom. Life is no longer happening to you. It is arising from within you. At some point you realize, this awakening is not just about you. The rupture within you touches not only your destiny, but the course of collective humanity. And this is where the greatest secret of awakening is revealed. Your inner transformation transforms the outer world. This may sound nice to say, but it's not just a matter of positive thinking. It's a quantum law of resonance. Every human being emits an energy. Every thought generates a frequency. Every choice creates a wave. And you are now a being who is aware of these waves, and can even direct them. Your healing opens a space for others to heal. Your transformation of your fears weakens the collective web of fear. Your vibrating with love affects the frequencies of conflict in the world. Maybe you are not physically on a battlefield. Maybe you are not making political decisions. But frequency-wise you are now influencing this world. Because your awakened consciousness has become a resonating force in the universal field. You may not feel it at first, because this effect is silent. Like a mother lovingly caring for her child. Like a tree giving shade unnoticed. Your being now becomes a healing field. And yes, sometimes you get tired because of it. Some days you question why you think so deeply, why you feel so sensitive. But that's because you start to perceive not only your own energy, but also the frequency of others. This is where the practice of protecting your energy field comes into play. Because you are now a frequency broadcaster, but you are also a frequency receiver. And you have to realize what you resonate with in every moment. Some people pull you down just by their presence. When you enter some environments you feel a heaviness that you can't explain. This is reality. This is energy. This is one of the first things a conscious awakening has to realize. Now you have to draw your energetic boundaries. You have to learn to say no. You have to learn to empathize without taking the pain of others on yourself. Because your higher frequency is not meant to serve the emotions that pull you down, but to neutralize them. You are not there to console the victim, but to remind them of your own power. And sometimes that requires taking a step back. Sometimes it requires silence. Sometimes it requires focusing on your own journey. Because remember, your greatest contribution is to be yourself. Who you are, the frequency at which you vibrate, is your greatest gift to this world. And now, in this awakened state you are moving into a new reality. Synchronized living. No more coincidences but synchronicities. No more moments where you say what a coincidence, but more moments where you say, I felt this was going to happen. Because now you are in harmony with the universe at the quantum level. The universe sends you signs. The clocks show numbers like 11, 11, 22, 22. Suddenly someone you haven't thought about for a long time calls you. What you have been thinking about inside suddenly appears in the outside world. These things are real. They are external manifestations of your alignment with consciousness. But there is a caveat here. These synchronicities can be fascinating, but don't get addicted to them because you are not on this path to chase miracles, but to remember that you are the miracle. You are a carrier of light. But this light does not come from outside, it is within. And to illuminate the darkness with this inner light is not just a romantic metaphor, it is a vital task. Maybe you set an intention before you came into this world. You said, I will forget, but then I will remember. And now you remember. The old identity no longer fits you. Now limited thoughts are suffocating you. You can no longer fit into your old self. This is not a sign of growing up, it is a sign of being reborn. And being reborn is not just about adopting new habits, it's about honoring the old you and surrendering to your new frequency. It's like a butterfly leaving the cocoon. You no longer fit in the cocoon. That dark, narrow space can no longer nourish you, because it is time for you to take wings. But there is a truth here too. Before you fly comes the final test. The universe tries you one more time. Are you really ready? Will you really live as you believe? Will you really keep your light? This test often feels like a crisis, a loss, a loneliness, a difficulty. But the purpose of this test is not to punish you. It is to crystallize you. Because only a crystal purified by a sufficiently high temperature can carry light without refracting it. And you are about to become a consciousness that no longer refracts light. And then, one morning you wake up. Something has changed inside you, but the change is peaceful, not stormy. The mind still thinks, the heart still feels, but now you are aware of this flow. The disorder of life doesn't shake you because you are now connected to a balance beyond the external order. At this point you have reached the silence of true awakening. Waking up no longer sounds like a theoretical concept to you. It is your experience. And this experience takes you to a level of awareness that you have never reached before. The triggering of old wounds no longer destroys you. You can observe them, see their origin and move through them. Because you no longer derive your identity from your past but from your essence. This essence was with you from the moment you were born. Before your name, before your family. Long before the identities society expected of you, you existed as a being. And now you are reconnecting to that being. This connection affects not only you but the whole reality around you. You see more clearly now. You read people's energies rather than their words. When someone enters the room, you feel not only their physical presence but the frequency they bring. This is not a superpower. This is the natural state of humanity, but a forgotten state. You are remembering. And as one who remembers now, your choices are more sacred. Who you listen to, who you walk with, what information you open your heart to, are no longer random decisions. Because you are now aligned with your own inner guide. This is the sharpest difference of quantum awakening. You take direction from your inner wisdom, not from external authorities. You no longer look for a leader, because you have become a leader. At least the leader of your own life. This is the beginning of liberation. And freedom begins not when fear ends but when you choose to walk through it. You no longer allow fear to control you. You recognize it, accept it, but you don't identify with it. This may not protect you from falling apart, but it changes the meaning of falling apart. Now for every collapse there is a turnaround. In every loss, a gain. In every darkness there is knowledge. However, you may have to walk this path alone, because not everyone wants to wake up. Some prefer the security of sleep. Some want to return to the comfortable hypnosis that the system offers, and you don't judge that anymore. Because every soul has a different time. But this solitude can be difficult for you at times. Remember, at this point, being alone is not the same as being isolated. You may be alone, but you are never isolated. You are an extension of the universe. You are a spark on earth of the consciousness carried by stardust. And when that spark shines in the darkness, other sparks begin to see you. This is where the spiritual family comes in. Beyond biological ties, souls aligned with your energy frequency begin to be drawn to you. Your heart vibrates when you recognize them. Conversations are not superficial. A glance is understood. A connection is made even in silence. Because you are the spiritual architects of this time. Consciousnesses who have taken part in the construction of this new world. And this world is built not only with physical structures, but with energy structures. The new world is a dimension vibrating in the resonance of love, transparency, intuition and oneness. And you are a gatekeeper living in this dimension, but traveling through the 3D world. The question, who am I, is no longer as heavy in you as it used to be. Because now you know that there is no single answer to this question. You are not a fixed definition, but an ever-expanding awareness. And this awareness calls you to the present, not the future. Time is no longer linear but circular. Your past does not define you, the future does not frighten you, because you are rooted in the power of now. And this rootedness makes you powerful, not vulnerable. Now in this moment, take a deep breath. Because if you are reading these lines or hearing these words, this is not just a video, it is a reminder call from your soul to yourself. And this call is not coming from outside, it is rising from within you. It has always been there, but you couldn't hear it until you were ready. Now that you are ready, things are beginning to change. Maybe the outside world will not notice yet, but you already have. And that's enough. Your story doesn't end here, it begins now. You create your reality, with your frequency, with your choices, your consciousness. Every morning when you open your eyes, you rewrite the universe. And this is not a dream, this is quantum reality. This is the divine truth that awaits you when you cross the dark side of awakening. And you are now someone who is aware of this truth. If this video stirred something deep in your soul, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And now click the shares button and send it to the first person who finds it, because this video didn't come to you by chance. You didn't find it, it found you. See you again in the next video.